outlining the impacts of a potential default, but at what point should Americans at home start preparing themselves for these impacts?
Look, we're hoping that it doesn't get to that. We really are. That's why we've been very vocal. The president has been very clear. That's why he had this meeting on Tuesday to be straightforward and frank. You know, this president is not afraid to be really honest. And that's why he went to New York, to speak directly to the American people. You know, as we've said, we're not going to certainly negotiate in public. We're going to let these conversations continue today. These are private conversations, and as we said, over the weekend. And once we have a date locked in for early next week, we certainly will share that with all of you.
Clarify a little bit of what they are discussing, what they are in these meetings. They're saying you don't want to negotiate in public. The president's position has been that there should be no negotiation around the debt limit at all. Congress should just raise it. So if the president says there should be no negotiation and they're talking, does that mean he's backed off his opposition to negotiating to raise the debt limit?
No, not at all. He has been very clear. We are not going to negotiate over the debt limit. And I'm going to be very clear, and you've heard this from other leaders as well, is that all of the three of the four have said that we have to avoid default. They've been very clear. We have to take default off the table. I will let you guess who was the fourth that did not say that.
What do you? The CBO released new projections for the current economy, and this fiscal year we're projected a deficit of 1.5 trillion. Last year was 1.4 trillion. The president talks about cutting the deficit. What happened?
So the president has a track record of historic deficit reduction. We have seen that, $1.7 trillion in the last 2 years. That is more than any other president has done in their first 2 years. So that is historic. The Republicans in the House put something very different, the complete opposite, that's going to hurt American families and members.
Consumer sentiment went down to 57.7. It's a number, but it fell from a significant amount. Is the president concerned going forward that consumers are getting less confident about the economy as we go into the end of the year?
So a couple of things. I'm glad you asked that question. So the University of Michigan's release actually cites the threat of default as a reason for the full faith in consumer sentiment. So to what's happening, what they're hearing from Congress, Republicans in the House, saying that they're going to threaten, essentially, not saying, but laying a plan that says they're going to potentially hold the American economy hostage.
Does that number then make the president more likely to come to a deal on the debt ceiling?
There's no deal to be had on the debt ceiling. There's no negotiation to be had on the debt ceiling. This is something that Congress needs to do. This is something that they need to act on. This is something that is their constitutional duty. The president has been very clear about that, very clear, and he will continue to do so.
The president has said that he's likely going on this foreign trip, but it's a possibility he would stay behind. What would trigger that decision for him?
What I can say right now, Arlette, is that he's expecting to go. I can say that for sure in this moment that he's expecting to go.
The president said that he would stay in town until this gets finished, and you said today that he is expected to leave for Japan on Wednesday morning. So does that mean you are confident that this is going to get done before Wednesday morning?
We're confident that the conversations, at least as it relates to the budget and the economy, as we said, we have to get back to regular order. Look, where he's expected to go, we're going to continue to have conversations. He's going to continue to tell Congress to do their job.
Has the marker for whether he will stay in town changed? Because initially he said, until this gets finished. Now it sounds like you're saying, as long as there's progress being made.
No, I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I spoke to the president about this. He wanted all of you to know that he's expecting to go. That's where I will leave it. I'm not going to go into private discussions. I'm not going to go into negotiations. I'm not going to do that from here. What I can say is that the president, from him, and wants all of you to understand and know and wants me to communicate that he's expecting to go next Wednesday.
Secretary Janet Yellen has said a default could happen as soon as June 1st. Other forecasters, including CBO today, are backing up early June. What is the drop-dead date that the White House and Congress need to reach a deal so that a bill gets to the president's desk in time to avoid a default?
So look, this should have happened a while ago. This is a manufactured crisis, as the president has said, as you just heard from the mayor who was just here at this podium. This should have been taken care of by Congress as their constitutional duty.
But we are here in this moment, so what is the level of urgency?
There is a lot of urgency. Obviously, there is a lot of urgency. I just said 3 of the 4 that met with the president on Tuesday said that default should be off the table. So we're all on the same place. It's the speaker that needs to really answer this question.